Welcome back, Ram fans. Week 5 power rankings coming at you here. And I have to tell you, the top 8, pretty clear to me. The order maybe not as clear to me, but the top 8, pretty settled on them. Feel very comfortable with the 8 teams I picked. The 9th team has no business being in the top 8, but there they are, the 9th team. And the 10th team, I have to tell you, you could pick about 12 teams, throw their names in the air, and whichever one lands first, make that team your number 10 team. And that's what I did. No, not really. I bounced it off my special assistant. We talked about a number of teams, including the Rams, but we decided to go with our number 10 team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 3-1. They pretty much dismantled the Saints, embarrassed them in New Orleans last week. So you got to give them credit for that. I'm not sold on them as a real title contender at this point, but they're playing pretty good football. And by the way, the Bucs are the lone new entry into the top 10, and quickly out once again, the Cincinnati Bengals. They got no business being up there at this point. And by the way, the green room teams, the teams also outside looking in, the Texans, Jags, the Rams, and the Seahawks. Those are my next 4 up. And like I said, there's a number of other teams that you could talk about as well, including maybe the Chargers. I see them all over the map. Experts really split on a team like the Chargers. So much potential, but they really struggle at critical times. And a bunch of other teams that we could really talk about. But number 10, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. My number 9 team, the team I alluded to a moment ago, that has no business being in the top 8. Pretty solid number 9 team, the Cleveland Browns, 2-2. A lot of people overreacting to that loss. Remember, they were without their starting quarterback, started a rookie in his place. So you got to give them a little bit of a pass. But I do drop them to number 9. They were 6 last week. Moving up 1 spot, the Detroit Lions. They move up from number 9 to number 8. They get the Panthers next week. They played some pretty darn good football against the Packers. They got 10 days to rest and expect them to go to 4-1 without too much trouble. My number 7 team, the Baltimore Ravens, also 3-1. They moved up 1 spot. Now, they travel to Pittsburgh, and if Pittsburgh's trying to get well, this is a bad week for it. Divisional matchup. Steelers probably going to find a way to stay competitive, but I think the Ravens are a much better team at this point. Not sure who's going to be the quarterback for Pittsburgh. Probably not Kenny Pickett. Even if he was healthy, it might not be Kenny Pickett, but he is struggling with an injury. My number 6 team, also jumping up 1 spot, the Dallas Cowboys, 3-1. Marquee game in Santa Clara, the Cowboys and the 49ers, a prelude to an NFC championship. I hope not. I hope it's not these 2 teams, but it very well could be. But 3-1 Cowboys at San Francisco. That'll be the game of the day for sure. My number 5 team, the Kansas City Chiefs, 3-1. They will likely move to 4-1. They travel to Minnesota. They dropped 2 spots. Yeah, they dropped 2 spots. They're just not impressing me. And a couple other teams are still playing pretty good football. My number 4 team, the Dolphins, they dropped 2 spots from number 2 to number 4 based on not really showing up in Buffalo. But, it's a tough matchup in Buffalo, divisional opponent, a very good divisional opponent. And they didn't bring their A game, but they do drop 2 spots. They get the Giants, so they're probably going to get healthy real fast. That Giants team, man, that's a get well card for just about anybody at this point, I think. My number 3 team jumping up 2 spots from number 5, the Buffalo Bills, 3-1. Hey, give them credit. They showed up and beat a divisional opponent. They lost that opener with the Jets, and since then, they should have won that game. Josh Allen just made a couple bonehead plays. They could very easily be 4-0. And yes, they are my number 1 team in the AFC right now, and probably the best team in the AFC. Dolphins and Chiefs right there behind them, and the Ravens maybe, but I'd give the Bills the crown at this point. They host the Jags next week. My number 2 team, up 2 spots, the Philadelphia Eagles, one of the last 2 unbeaten teams. And They are having some issues on pass defense. They're not getting to the quarterback as much as they did last year. This is not the Eagles are not playing at the same level they did last year. That's for sure. And maybe they'll get there, but hopefully it won't be this week at SoFi. So the Eagles jump from number 4 to number 2 and holding on at the number 1 spot. The San Francisco 49ers 4-0, 30 plus points every game. They've been pretty steady, the number 1 team, and rightfully so. See if the Cowboys can knock them off their perch. And hey, maybe we're pulling for the 49ers unless we think the Rams can really make a run for a divisional title. That may be a pretty heady statement to make at this point. But if you're going to concede the title to the 49ers, maybe you're asking the 49ers to deliver a loss to the Cowboys in that wild card chase. It could be important. Rams will get a chance to hand the Cowboys a loss later on in the season, pretty soon here actually. But 49ers, number 1 team, hosting the Cowboys. That's going to be a fun game. My number 1 and number 6 teams facing off. So that's my rankings. There you have it. Like I say, there's a bunch of teams right outside this top 10 that could, outside this green room as well, the Texans, Jags, Rams, and Seahawks. The Bengals are probably faltering right now. The Commanders, got to give them some love. The Saints, the 2 bad weeks in a row. There's from 10 to 22, not a lot of difference between these teams in my opinion. But the Rams slowly climbing this chart. If they beat the Eagles, man, you got to think about them as a potential playoff team for sure. And maybe they'll pop into this top 10 as well. That's my week 5 power rankings. Hope you enjoyed it. Do it again a week from now out here from Rams Up.